Starting in one, two, three. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of K-TEIN. I'm your host, Keobastein, and also we have our other fellow host, Calm Down. And today we're going to be talking about 2025 because it's been a year for many events, for many games, for many things actually. But before I go further, calm down, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. And I'm excited to be on board for this kind of topic. Like back when I was regularly podcasting, doing kind of like an end year recap on whatever the topic was something that I really like doing. And sometimes like I continue to have that tradition, just not as a podcast, but talking with my friends. But the big problem, I feel like the more that time goes by, it gets harder and harder to remember every single thing that happened in the past year. Because, like, if you were to ask me what I thought about 2025, I would say, man, I don't know how much of 2025 I remember. Like, that's my gut reaction, you know?
No. I mean, as we get older, they say time kind of just fly by, and younger didn't understand that because it looked like time was slow, but now older, time just go by. And shoot, I remember the thing that really flew me by was when you told me how what you call it, Tales of Berseria is getting a re-release, and you were telling me how believe it or not, that the game feels like sort of recent in people's mind and is kind of a somewhat cult classic. The game has been out for about 9 years so far, and I was like, wow, has it really been that long? Because if you would have asked me, how long ago since Berseria, I would have said 6, 7 off the top of my head. But it's like, no, it's 9 years. Actually going on to 10 years now. Now that we're about in 2025. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, time has passed. So in retrospect, I guess I can't be too mad at Namco Bandai for choosing to go for Tales of Berseria, because it has at least been nearly a decade now. So yeah. I understand the feeling of not really remembering all the little micro details of 2025. And thankfully, we're not really going to try to do that today. We're going to talk about the thing that at least we do remember. And if we do remember that, because either it was a highlight of some sort, or maybe not so great of a time and whatnot. But don't worry, we're not going to make this into like a misery party or anything like that.
No.
Pardon me for a moment.
No problem. Because when you're ready to get back into it, I think I have like a talking point ready to go.
Hey, my bad about that. Got a little bit caught up there. I lost my train of thought. Where were we?
Yeah, so you were just talking about the Tales of Berseria re-release, and then you were saying we won't be doom and gloom, and we'll just try to talk about what we can remember. And I do have a talking point as far as like what I do remember. If you want me to go first,
actually, not. Let's go ahead. Yeah, if you do have something that's currently on your mind, let's go ahead. Even though I am the host, well, actually, I say we're a co-host, which and whatnot. Anyways, but yes, if you can actually lead us on, I will appreciate that. Calm down. And I'll put my little tidbits in there if I get the chance.
Because the most recent thing wrapping up the year was I built a new PC, and this PC is capable of running Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8, even though I haven't double dipped and rebought those yet. But I would say getting the Leverless by 8-Bit Dough has kind of reignited my passion and love for just labbing and playing around with like fighting games, because I would say that 2025 was like, it was 2 points. It was part of me falling out of love with fighting games, and then thankfully going back into falling in love with fighting games again, because it started off all right. And I think the big thing that took out a lot of the win in the sales for me was, the much aligned season 2 of Tekken 8. And for me, I do prefer my 3D fighters over 2D ones. And I was sticking with Street Fighter 6 because it was giving me that sense of progression Whereas, like Tekken 8 is so 50-50 oriented that even if you try to be calculated and like you get your wins, it's kind of hard to feel like, oh, I earned that, or oh, I was playing smart, because if we kept rolling those sets, who knows who would have won, out of that outcome. But then just getting kind of tired of that. And then kind of taking a little bit of a break. I think that's when I started my gacha game journey. But again, like this Leverless, man, I'm really enjoying revisiting 4-button fighters, Injustice 2, having a blast with that. And you graciously gifted me Damon Bride Additional Gain, and dude, I'm having a lot of fun with that. And I am so glad that the port, for the most part, is pretty good on that one.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I do recall some of the things. Actually, speaking of like falling out of stuff, like fighting game for 2025 has been a peculiar year. There were things that I was personally looking forward to. Like one of the things that I was anticipating was, actually, let me say this: there are games that I were looking forward to, and there are just some games that's like I'm gonna dabble into it, but I don't think I'm gonna fall in love with them and whatnot. Like,
Yeah.
I did it. Like I was mentioning how I was gonna look forward to Bleach Rebirth of Soul and Arcus Chroma. Like those games, I was like, oh yeah, these are the games I'm like really anticipating. And there was also the re-release of Aquapaza, which did actually come out this year. But so it's fun that you mentioned about how you fell out of love with fighting games, but then reunited because of the peripheral. I had an issue with me trying to play fighting games based off of that. Bleach Rebirth of Soul, like the arena fighter games, contrary to what, let's say, the wider FGC or most people say how they don't like battle arena games, I was looking forward to Bleach, and it being a battle arena was one of the interesting points. The thing that does kill me about the battle arena genre currently still is there's this insistence to use every single button on the controller.
Yeah.
And I like the mechanics that they have in the game, and I was trying to explore it, but trying to get used to playing Rebirth of Soul on a gamepad where every single button was being used, when I'm like, okay, we could have done some macro, some key binds here, like that. Like I know one button was for some other different things, and it's like, okay, this kind of just bloated for the sake of being bloated, and it was not a great time and whatnot. And then Arcus Chroma did came out, but the developer finally did, not finally, but rather they did announce, hey, I'm not gonna be able to do online, and I'm gonna cease development. Which, for all purposes, I'm glad that they realized they needed to prioritize other things and not really get a game product to, like, they're not prioritizing a game over their life and whatnot. So I'm glad they're doing that, but I'm also disappointed because that means support to get online for that game, unfortunately, was dropped and whatnot. So that was kind of disappointing. But one of the games I also thought I wasn't going to fall in love with, but actually wind up becoming a bigger fan of it, was Iron Saga Versus, because that did came out this year, that same year, 2025. And I'm actually playing that a lot more regularly than I anticipated and thought I would. Another fighting game would be like Hunter x Hunter. I was like, oh, this is so Marvel vs. Capcom 3 coded. And even though I do admire 18, I'm not going to act like I love every single thing that they made. I mean, the thing I like the most from 18 will be Fate Unlimited Codes, and then their the Zoids game that they made that they don't kind of really talk about. I mean, I think they also made Clash of Ninja games, so I do like that, but it's not really considered part of their proliferate pedigree of, well, designs, if you will. So besides,
Yeah, as far as Hunter x Hunter goes, I'm kind of surprised. Like, there's so many options of fighting games for everybody out there, right? And I've talked about before, like for me, I kind of prefer not to have to be stuck with like being on a Discord server to find matches for things. But, there are plenty of communities out there, plenty of channels that you can join. I'm kind of surprised that, for a lot of people, they're not into like the degenerate tag fighter schmix up, like, just being curb stomped constantly of certain fighters. But there are plenty of fighting game players who do really enjoy that. I didn't think that Hunter x Hunter was going to do gangbusters, but I'm kind of surprised that the community that likes that particular type of fighting game, they're not keeping it more alive. But that's me saying it as an outsider. Like for somebody who's been playing and labbing that type of game, maybe you see a more active side of it. I don't know.
Well, I could tell you, no. It is very much on. Basically, there is basically just the dismissal of Hunter x Hunter because of the first initial impression. People who actually play it are actually really digging it, and like when people do get beyond the, okay, yeah, this game was $60, which yes, overpriced, and yes, the game's current state when it comes to trying to play online is not ideal, which is why some people are using Parsec. Like, you are jumping over hoops. I cannot deny. And you as a person who is a fan of Hunter x Hunter and become a fan of playing the game now, even I have a hard time justifying telling anybody to get the game at its current price, unless you are actually specifically looking for that Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom experience, or you just want a very new game experience. The reason why this game is holding on to me is, despite it actually being Schmidt's the game and being very momentum driven, it still gives you good defensive mechanics. Like, let me say even good. There's some equalizer to help make good defensive plays and reads with like the nim mechanic, the nim stance and whatnot. Also, some people also say similar to like other dissimilar to other team game is how obviously there's more of a, okay, you gotta structure your team to be a certain way. If you want a certain game plan of where you want to zone characters out, you need to have a good point character who could zone, another character who could like maybe protect the zoner, and the third one to be like your DPS. Hunter x Hunter and Impact, basically a lot of people say that you can kind of make your team however you kind of see fit. Sure, there's some synergy to be had, but the requirement of synergy is not so heavily skewed as opposed to like Ultimate Marvel. Like, if you want to play with Phoenix Wright, who's not a terrible character, but as I say, you gotta build a team around him, and not everybody's going to complement what Phoenix Wright's game plan is. Hunter x Hunter is a lot more loose and flexible with who you want to put on your team, and that's probably because of the more centralized gameplay of mechanics and whatnot. So because of that, it's been more fun to team build with that, basically just based on who you like as characters and whatnot, and still finding ways to make things synergistic, even if it's not considered ideal synergistic as such.
Yeah, I think again, like, it's sort of carried by its IP. Like, I don't know how many people tried out Hunter x Hunter where they're like, oh, I didn't care for the anime, or I don't like anime at all, but like they love the potential that much to like get into it. I think those type of people are pretty few and far between, right?
They are very few. Like, I do see some people like speak about the lore and whatnot, but otherwise it's mostly people who are currently still alive and playing Hunter x Hunter are just either gaming enthusiasts, and they're even the ones who are not part of the YWGC, because they're like, oh man, I understand Direphone made some comments about the game, not Direphone and Brick, but the game has changed and evolved. Like, in fact, that is one of the disappointing things I did recall from seeing from Direphone or Brick or Direphone. I'm not sure who, but some people who are looking at the game, and they basically still have the notion that, yeah, the game still is bad state as it is, which is still, it's not really, sorry, it's not, the game was in a bad state, but the developers have put time to make it better. Does that mean give the developer their flowers? No, but I don't like the continued misconception of how, oh, they don't care about the game at all. I mean, they do care. Is it to the level that we are so used to from other games? No, not really. It's probably definitely not something on a user's, but maybe that is kind of the whole point. The lot of different semantics that's going into it. But either way, Hunter x Hunter Impact, a game that is holding my attention better than I really thought. To the point I even got one of my training buddies to pick up the game, and they actually enjoyed it quite well. We play it quite frequently now and whatnot. So, and the fact that the game still has more to come with this DLC, like the game is currently in a healthy place. For the most part, I play a character of Netero, Razor, and Phyton, and I got introduced. I did watch the anime of Hunter x Hunter, but I got introduced to Razor through the game, and I did start like, oh well, let me see what Razor is about in the anime, and I'm kind of a fan. I always kind of been a fan of those characters who have their eyes like closed all the time, like
Mm-hmm.
K-TEIN or Brock or whatnot. But another Hunter x Hunter and then Impact, we did mention Tekken 8 and well, actually no. Before that, one, congrats on getting a computer
Thank you. Thank you.
because I also had to get a new computer this year. Mostly just
Mm.
well, not really a brand new computer, but rather my computer did cunk out on me, so I had to get something that was an equivalent replacement. So I gotta thank my homeboy the Ghost for setting me up for that, because that's one of the reasons that was going to maybe keep me from recording and doing any more of the podcast, which we did start it last year. So
Mm-hmm.
really grateful for that. So I gotta thank Ghost for putting me in that position to do that, and I'm glad you were able to get yourself on PC bandwagon before things got, well, let's say very expensive as of late because of current
Dude, it
generation.
was right on the cusp. Honestly, like it was. I think a week after I finished getting all the parts and like put it all together, like it was already trending to increase. But for example, the RAM that I have in my computer at the time, and this was like a part that I bought years back when I was like slowly collecting parts. I bought the RAM, dude, for like $45. Okay, that same exact RAM now costs $300, dude. Like that's not double, that's not triple. Like whatever that math is just insane for 16 gigabytes of RAM. I don't even want to think about 32 and higher.
Yeah, even Ghost, who pretty well off when it comes to him and finances, even has complained to me about how basically expensive things are. So once again, glad that you were able to kind of break that barrier and whatnot. Actually, I am still technically in a new room for a new computer because there's one other thing that I have actively started to do now, not also with this podcast, which once again, thank you for joining me, Calm Down. I do appreciate
Yeah,
it. It's
man.
been a great journey. I've been doing a lot more cloud PC gaming because, like, I know we talk, not just gush about Nen Impact and Iron Saga, which are really great games actually, and whatnot. But like Aquapaza was looking forward to that game, but now I still have to basically use the PS3 emulator because the port of it is not great, and not everybody is
Mhm.
also in a good position to use the PS3 emulator to whatnot to play that game online. So what I do is I boot up Parset, a cloud to access my cloud PC and start playing with other people for PC gaming. I just did it for Phantom Breaker and it felt great. Like it makes like a lot of the feelings I have with Phantom Breaker or whatnot, like my meta stuff or just even my overall feelings of the game, is all very skewed towards how does the game play online and whatnot.
Mm.
Yes, I do have my training mode that I do mess with, but even training mode is not exactly great. But when I finally got to play um, Phantom Breaker through Parsec, it was like, oh, this is a different game. This different game. So a lot of things I had in mind, I was now willing to recontextualize and reevaluate some of my feelings to have an even much more positive experience. Though right now the current cloud PC I have, it might be too weak, so I'm about to now request to get an even stronger cloud PC through the company. I think they call itself Digital Ocean and whatnot. So I'm still
Mhm,
in the
mhm.
market of getting another PC, just one that's stronger. Because actually, I was hoping to actually ask you to play Soul Calibur 6 and maybe even Dead or Alive, but I was gonna probably use the cloud PC gaming because I remember us trying Soul Calibur 6 online and it wasn't. Don't want to say it
Yeah,
wasn't.
the you know The weird thing about Soul Calibur's online play is it's very finicky and inconsistent. So a lot of people will just say it's outright bad, and I can't defend it against that. But I'll just say it's weird sometimes where I can play against people in Europe sometimes, and it's like really smooth. But if I'm playing somebody on the same coast as me, it will be horrible. I can be playing against somebody in the same town as me, and it'll be a terrible experience. And it's funny that you bring up Soul Calibur 6, man, because circling back to what you said before about Nen Impact, real quick, I just want to say it's awesome that you have a training buddy, you know, like somebody that you can regularly play matches with. And the title that you used to give yourself, I don't know if you throw it around anymore, but like the fighting game connoisseur, I think for you that title is like really appropriate because of not just like the titles you play, but the lengths that you're willing to go through to play these games. You know, not only overcoming the Discord barrier, you're okay with setting up Parsec, you're doing cloud gaming and all that stuff. Like that's a lot to cut your teeth through. Like the thing about Soul Calibur, man, like I will still put it out there. I think, you know, honestly, like of this generation, that's probably my favorite fighting game. You know, maybe close second is like the Dead or Alive series. Like depending on the day, maybe they can flop back and forth. But I will say that Soul Calibur, as much as I love it, it's probably my least favorite to be labbing in. You know, like it's compared to these other games where if you're not matched up against people, like if there's an actual robust single player mode or like you just have fun labbing combos or like there's stuff that you can do on your own, I don't think. Now people say, well, what about Libra Souls? Like, no, like Libra Souls is to me garbage compared to like what Soul Calibur 2 and Soul Calibur 3 had, you know? Like if I was in the mood to do like a visual novel, I would just go play a visual novel, or I would go watch the story mode on BlazBlue, you know? I don't think Soul Calibur delivers on that point. So whether, you know, like no pressure, no rush, we end up playing Soul Calibur 6 again, like that would be cool. Because like my sparring buddies on that game have kind of faded out, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate to hear. I know, even though I know we don't have the best opinion, one of the members of Ultra 10 TV, one of the members did try to keep pushing Soul Calibur 6 as you know, really good and fine game in their own streaming and whatnot. And I just do see periodically of how people do play Soul Calibur 6 every now and then, and there are a lot more people defending the game than I would anticipate. Like from a casual to the consumer side, they're like Soul Calibur 6 is terrible, and yet I'm still seeing people playing Soul Calibur 6 and still saying, honestly, this game is actually a lot better than people are giving the game credit for, I would say. And that's the same thing with Mortal Kombat 1. Like I'm still interested in playing Mortal Kombat 1. I think one of the things I have to do is come to terms that that's not a game I should play on Hitbox. Instead, I should play that game on a pad. And then because of that, that's why I had to re-explore peripherals on, okay, well, which pad am I going to get and use and whatnot. I haven't tried the 8-Beto yet, but it's definitely getting close to me wanting to do that. I also want to get the 8-Beto wireless Hitbox because I do want to lab a lot of games, but constantly trying to set up a wire controller for, like right now, the Switch. I have the Nintendo Switch, and it's great and it's portable, but that's on a gamepad. If I could get the 8-Beto to work wirelessly on that, that'd be great. But right now, I think the only one they have is S-Boss only, so it may
Nope,
not.
they have a Switch one now, so you're in luck, man. The Switch one isn't as discounted as the Xbox one because the Xbox one goes for $80. The Switch one, like $10 more.
I mean,
and
fine.
I would,
Yeah.
I would also say like, you know, keep your eyes peeled because I do know that these peripherals, because for whatever reason, like the actual hitbox and then the Hot 42 are still kind of like the brands that are name dropped more often. Like 8-Bit Dough doesn't have the same clout on the leverless just yet, so I don't know if that's why they're more open to doing the discounts that they do.
Well, actually, the person, I think that's the reason why they're doing the discounts. Like, they don't have they don't have that type of notoriety, so they probably do discounts more based off that. But I have been told from people from the fighting game circle from the FGC, or let me say my niche FGC side, that they're like, starting off, yeah, the hitbox and hot were the way to go, but now really going to more economical routes are better because like even snapbots, like I thought snapbots was kind of really good. Like I liked it,
Mm-hmm.
but now
Mm-hmm.
some of it's like, yeah, actually these companies are charging way too much because now there's so many people that's into the game of making leveless controller
Yeah.
and whatnot that essentially it's no longer really worthwhile to buy the premium version of them unless you just really need that namesake now. Otherwise, you're better off with like with a few other brands, which I need to get back to looking at. But irregardless, that's one reason why I was looking at peripheral and also even getting a change PC. So I will get a different PC, cloud PC. And going back to my fighting game console background for a bit, um, it's because I just really just like playing. I like to have a lot of opportunities to play things and whatnot. Like even though
Mm-hmm.
I've already kind of basically sworn off Ground Blue versus Rising and whatnot, and as I said that we get to get Strive, I am kind of at least looking at Get to Get Strive 2.0 and being like,
Yep.
okay,
Same.
what are you gonna do with 2.0? Because you could maybe pull me back in, but again, if it's in a word could, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that and whatnot. But that's the reason why I do play all the different games because I am not currently engaged with the current. Like Street Fighter Six, that game current state just kind of implies unsatisfactory. Tekken 8, I won't lie, a few times I kind of got that itch to like, well, it's a brand new game, you haven't really played it, until my better judgment does kind of kick in and be like, do you how much do you really want to play Tekken, or rather I got Virtual Fighter, Soul Calibur 6, and Dead or
Mm-hmm.
Alive. Like I'd rather jump on those games first. Like I confident I would enjoy Dead or Alive because of the counter mechanic and I would have Lang Fang. I know I enjoy Soul Calibur 6 and I already know which characters I want to play. And say they're Virtual Fighter World Tour. When I got Tekken, I'm like, I don't know who I will really want to play. The only thing I kind of have an idea is either Leroy or if not Leroy, Zafina.
Yeah. They're both very, very cool characters. And like, um, even though like my picks are like different, like overall your thought process is the exact same for me as well. Cause like I am reconsidering Guilty Gear Strive when 2.0 comes out. Me having the leverless, like I said, I'm really enjoying it for 4 button fighters. So at the top of my mind, I also kind of thought, hey, maybe revisit Grand Blue. But compared to all the games that I can play right now, I think making that judgment call, well, I would rather put more time trying to learn a new character in Dead or Alive, for example, on this controller setup than split my time. But I think it's also important to be open to revisiting games because, like, depending where you are, like, being burnt out by certain games or you just have like a fresh perspective, you just never know when some of these games might hit for you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for as much as I love Dead or Alive now, and this will sound so ridiculous, dude, I will tell you, like, when I first bought Dead or Alive 5 last round on PS4, I I stopped after like 5 hours. Because at that time, man, and again, like I'm the much more casual fighting game player compared to you, but I was saying every character feels samey. How crazy is that, dude? Like, and the reason why I came to that conclusion at that time that every character feels samey is because you can do a PPPK string with just about everybody. And instead of really thoroughly exploring the move sets, like, of course, if you can just do PPPK with everybody and like beat single player mode or whatever, like, why would you learn more? And it wasn't until like I actually went through it and I learned a grappler in Tina. I was like, okay, this is like a completely different type of play style. Okay, you play a grappler a little bit different. Okay, you got to do the mind games of like setting up the counter hold throw. And the first time you hit that counter hold throw with the MDT and you delete like 75% of your opponent's health, dude, that's like a drug right
Oh,
there. And then you keep
well,
fishing for it.
actually, so a new game that I've been playing, you may have seen it on Twitter because they post on Twitter frequently. A game called Ease Lab 2 or Ease Lab Plus Plus.
Yeah.
So I first got that game, or at least rather, I signed up for the Patreon. The game's not out. You had to sign up for Patreon because they actually made a character named Yagabi, who's basically is this old samurai fox character who had a dedicated parry mechanic and some zoning tools and charge base, and I'm like, this is all me. Like, this is just kind of all that I would want in a character and whatnot. Start playing it, and let's just say that while I liked the character, it didn't make me fell in love with the game for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Then, and maybe one reason why, because I am kind of doing the same thing usual, getting a slow, methodical, or let's say defensive-based character and whatnot. Then I explore a different character named Cecil, who's kind of more of this rush-down focused character. And you know me, I generally don't fuck with aggressive play style, but his movement was very enticing. And even though he is an aggressive character, he does have a lot of bait and punish tools that I like. That it's like, okay, I'm interested to actually stick around and play this game, play it online and whatnot. Another reason why also, because almost everybody play Yakubi too, like, because he's like the most simplest character. The character I'm playing is a lot more technical, and it's kind of ironic because I don't really love my fighting game being difficult. It's one reason why, for me, as I keep saying, the prior generation, I think Blade Stranger is one of the best fighting games out there, because I am just a fan of games being accessible with a low floor. Sure, a high ceiling, but I want a very low floor to just kind of be able to engage with the game. And this character I'm playing is not a low floor, more of a high floor because, like, for starters, they have a mechanic where if they run for a period of time, their normals change. So he's kind of working with like double set of normals. His rules are also even different from other characters, but still, this character was like, oh, okay, I kind of want to fuck with Ease Lab plus because of this character and such and whatnot. So actually, I'm taking a look at the time right now. So
Yeah, let me just say this point, and then anything else you want to say, and maybe we'll have to wrap up there, Keobastein. But I just want to give you props. Of course, like, you would do this, but I just want to say it out there for other people, like, to really encourage character exploration. You know, like, it can be overwhelming for people. Like, to me, it's hard to wrap my head around that. Some people just want to be told what character to use. Hey, what's the top tier? And like, if that's your mode of operation, that's cool, but like, you got to figure out what character clicks for you personally. And sometimes I have that same dilemma too. Sometimes I'm like, man, this character is so freaking cool, and like, even if this game is dead, or like the player base is lacking, or the modes are lacking, like, I love this character so much, and I would explore this game more and keep playing it. But then sometimes, like, even if I love that character a ton, like, it's just not enough, like, because you have that one bright spot, and then you're having to fight the entire rest of the system of the game, you know, and like, that's a tough thing to surmount.
It truly is a tough thing. Like, sometimes it is good if you could just find that perfect thing, but other times it, like you just said, it does require exploration. And this is why I personally keep saying that, once again, fighting game is like a self-discovery journey. When by self-discovery, it's basically you have to learn who you are, because, all right, even though I don't stand on the side that fighting games are like the hardest genre ever, because for starters, every game has their learning curves, the ups and downs and whatnot. But in order to appreciate what a fighting game or a competitive game does, you do need to understand yourself, because these games are like, all right, you know how, have you ever been to a buffet before?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you know when you go to a buffet, all of a sudden you just got a smorgasbord of options to choose from, and there's no right way to pick item. It's rather, what do you want? I think we can safely say that technically that's the same thing with a fighting game, because once you go to that character select screen, all right, here's a smorgasbord, or I know what the word is.
Smorgasbord, yeah.
Smorgasbord of characters. They all are meant to play within our game system. What do you want? There is no right or wrong choice. It's rather just, what do you want? And that's going to be based off what you want. Like, if I go to a buffet, I'm going towards my Italian food. I want the pasta. I want my pizza, cheesy bread. I want that stuff and whatnot. Like, that's my go-to. Not because I will only eat those, because no, I love my meatloaf. I like my salads and whatnot, especially Caesar salad. So I will, step away from my Italian food. But I do know, if I get the choice of what do I want first, okay, I want my Italian food, because I know that's what I like and enjoy and such. And same thing when it comes to characters. Okay, I know I want character with these or that tools, so let me maybe explore there, and then maybe diversify from there and such.
I think what we could potentially do in a future episode, Keobastein, is exploring character archetypes. And, it doesn't have to be like whole thesis point of like in general what we do, but just like mentioning certain titles and characters we play in those titles and why we enjoy them so much. I think that could be a good
Yeah, I
conversation.
think that was good because while I was kind of surprised how I did pick up this character named Caesar and Eastlav, I shouldn't be too surprised because the character that made me fall back in love of Melty Blood actress again when I was having my low point was actually another technically rushed down character, and that was Risby. Now, technically, they're not the most aggro version. Like, they actually did have good defensive options. They're like, oh, well, here's a rushed down character who who just happens to have a unique alpha counter, who happens to have moves that are good at disrupting the opponent, but they are still a rushed down character through and through still, and whatnot. So I shouldn't be completely sorry because that's something I never have done before. But yeah. But all right, hey, calm down once again. I do appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Appreciate you,
And
man.
yeah, yeah. So hey, where can they find you, calm down?
Yeah, you can catch me on Twitch at COMMDAO. I've been a little bit more consistent, so we'll see how the rest of 2026 goes with that.
That's great. Yeah. I haven't streamed myself yet, but I'm kind of trying to warm up to that due to a few lifestyle changes that has occurred. But you can find Keobastein on wherever you see this episode on. Because more likely, I'm still just kind of uploading on YouTube, but not on Spotify or anything of that sort yet. But all right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I hope your 2025 had ended also well. And let's look forward to 2026. Because there will be more of K-Time. All right, take it easy.